Anyway, slightly less offensive, I hope. I moved on to the next series, Mr. Smith. And this series drew on the whole idea of the art star. The person who could control the media, whether it's a musician, whether it's a film actor, whether it's an artist, and use the media to sell themselves. And one of the best people of all time, obviously, was Elvis, or one of the earliest people maybe, was Elvis Presley. So I created this picture, and this picture, as I'll show you technically in a minute how I produced this, was a self-portrait shot in the studio that's been manipulated to look like someone. In this case, Elvis Presley. The trouble with this image was it's almost as much about the gesture in the face as it is about the actual manipulation and the change and the restructuring of the bones and the hair and everything else to make it look like him. So I decided, as this was the first image, that I would change in the future and I would use a similar style to Thomas Ruff was creating. And this is the sort of deadpan, the flat expression, the blank look that comes in your face. The surface only of the image. So you were really staring at this face and not given very much information back about who the person was, what they were doing there, and why they were presented in the form that they were. And this was a visual style that was used, first of all, I think, by Thomas Ruff, but certainly by a great number of people afterwards. So I selected my A-list celebrities, and I deliberately shot them against this black background, and I used a ring flash on all of the pictures. So there would be this feeling that you could see the same sort of face in a variety of different ways. And the reason that these work better as a series as opposed to individual ones is because when they're put next to each other in an exhibition, you can see moles and you can see scars and you can see lines in the face that repeat through different faces. Now, sometimes they went too far, and they were pushed to the digital extreme, like this faces of Michael Jackson, where hopefully you can't see much of me left in it. Other images, I felt, were at that point where you recognise your icon, but at the same time you kind of question whether it really is that person or not. You think you know who this person is. And the art stars are mimicked in so many different ways. They're people that now people look up to. People now see these people as the new heroes quite often. Gone are the days where it would be a Nelson or the Queen that people would admire. It tends to be now celebrities that we look to. So technically, I needed some assistance when it came to producing this body of work. Because although I tried to produce this series myself, it was beyond my capability. So I got a post-production company involved called Saddington and Baines, a fantastic group of people who assisted me producing this body of work. So I'd shoot, I'd come up with the idea, come up with the faces, and I came up with a way of working it that I thought would work. I tried it on Photoshop and it wouldn't piece together. So we used a different program combined with Photoshop to be able to achieve the results that we've got here. Each one of these pictures would take about 5 days of post-production time to do the post-production on. And that was once we'd worked out how to actually do it. Now this sort of came out of this connection I had with Robbie on the earlier shoot, because I had the tiniest time with Robbie. As I said, I had 3 days with Robbie. And the questions I got asked after that shoot were ludicrous. What's Robbie up to at the moment? How was his rehab? Oh, what's his next album going to be like? Etc., etc., etc. And it was bizarre because I knew so little about Robbie from those 3 days, and I certainly couldn't answer all those sorts of questions. But anytime I talked to the press about my work, they would assume that I knew everything about him from that period of time. So it was this sort of need to be associated with, connected with, which in some ways is quite helpful. So these images were supposed to be strange. They were supposed to be a bit eerie. They were supposed to make you look at them and question what you're looking at. It was something in the faces that gave you, I guess, that perception that you've seen this before, you know what this is, you know who it is and how they operate, but at the same time, it isn't what you expect. And I hope that that's the sort of mainstay of most of my work. So that's the end of this session.